back with my analysis for the week commencing the 24th of March. Now, scheduled news for the next few days looks fairly light, so I've included the orange flag. Orange flag, New Zealand trade balance. Remember, in recent months we had one that was completely off the scale different, and if it's negative again, that could see the New Zealand dollar start to turn down again. Speeches going on Tuesday, Fed guys on a jolly, I think it's in Hong Kong. Consumer confidence has some effect. We've had a lot of Aussie news of late. This week very little, and this week it's the New Zealand dollar cash rate and then the RBNZ statement as well. Draghi, the president of the ECB, is speaking at a conference. He usually tends not to be too sensationalist other than at official meetings. CAD trade balance. The Canadian dollar's been behaving very strangely of late. And again, more New Zealand dollar news on Thursday morning as well. And then the dear old Brits on Friday. The situation in the UK really is becoming rather desperate. I use this site, newsnow.co.uk, to keep up to date and latest news releases for the UK. And there's talk this weekend that they're going to get rid of Prime Minister May. She really is very stubborn and she's not for turning, but she just doesn't appear to be willing to listen to anybody else. And it's a complete and utter shambles. 1 million people marched on Saturday, Sunday, in favour of staying in the EU. It really has divided the whole country. And this week, nobody has any idea, and therefore just leave the pound alone, guys, is the safest bet. Let's have a look at some charts. Of course, the other side of the Brexit scenario is the EU, and the EU has its own problems at the moment. Looked as though it was trying to make its way higher last week, and it's promptly come back and sat on top of 130 again, just to tease us. I am only interested to short this if it moves higher. I would prefer. We've been trading this from around 1480, which is range bound. It's been range bound now for 3 months. I wouldn't touch it where it is at the moment. Aussie dollar, said we had a lot of news last week. It did pull back up. I am still only interested to short, and 7200, 7180 is the area. I wouldn't short it anywhere near here because 70 is a huge area of major previous support and resistance and the whole number, and therefore I wouldn't touch it where it is at the minute. Aussie yen. Now, to keep your eye on the Nikkei for the yens, because the Nikkei started to drop the other day. The yen then gets stronger, and all the yen pairs have made these kind of breaks. And you'll see the pattern is similar to the Nikkei. The Nikkei is at that make your mind up area again. It keeps hitting this trend line. It now looks as though the trend line is broken, and the 55 EMA. If this is to drop further, we should see more yen strength. Aussie CAD was saying last week, this is the first area. Main area for me is all the way back up at 9600, but I will watch this at the open. The Canadian dollar, having said that, is behaving rather strangely at the moment. Not for nothing is it called the loonie. And I have periods of time when I just leave the Canadian dollar alone because it just seems to defy logic. New Zealand dollar did it again last week. Now, I was talking with a private client the other day. This has been a problem. It's simple that you are looking to short. It's been stuck in a range from 9900 down to 97, which is fine. The problem is then it seems to take forever to try to break this area here. So this week, if it breaks higher, I'm interested to short this 69.30. It gives me more chance of a reward versus the risk. Dollar yen. Now, all the yens I showed you broke out the channel apart from the dollar yen. It's now sat on 110. Big area of major previous support and resistance here on a weekly. It is also the weekly 200 EMA, and you have the monthly 55 not far below. I am not interested to short here at the moment because, a bit like that New Zealand dollar scenario, the probability is it will probably struggle to break the 55 and may well bounce back up again. So my bias at the moment is still to long. If it breaks lower, I need this to break and close below, then I start to consider a short. But as I said earlier, I'll watch this at the open and also watch when the Nikkei opens to see what that is going to do. Same pair on the daily, and it's just sat now on this weekly 200 and this huge area of 110 to play with us. If it moves higher, then I am interested to short from up around 112. Euro yen, same scenario. It's broken, therefore you're looking for a pullback anywhere around 125.50. I would be interested to short this pair. USD Singapore dollar. Now, I was looking to short at 13600 again, almost textbook entry the previous week, which was very nice. Now it's bounced off this weekly trend line down here. Still interested to short if it gets anywhere back up around 35.75, and to short down here I need it to break and close below the recent lows. So I want it to come down here below the low, then a pullback with a view to a short. CAD, I said earlier, this has been behaving rather strangely. It's completely opposite to the USD yen most of the time of late. And even when you see dollar strength in other areas, the CAD seems to be doing its own thing. Having said all that, if it pulls back down to the major area around 13200, this is a weekly trend line going back to 2017, then I would be interested to long. And I will start to look for potential shorts up at the top here around 35.50, all the way potentially up to 36.40. But at the moment for me, this is in no man's land. This was the run up on Friday, and this is that area back down here. Multiple reasons why I would be interested to long down here. Obviously if it breaks and closes below, then we revise the bias and we have a look for later in the week. Now with the CAD, keep your eye on oil. It was making higher highs last week. This is a weekly chart, and then at the end of the week it's promptly come back down and it's sat in amongst all these EMAs again. If the price of oil goes up, the Canadian dollar should get stronger, and therefore the USD should fall against the CAD. So oil, very important. Swiss yen, this was the one I was talking about on Tuesday in the live session, and it came up and it did it virtually to the pip. This is the Swiss yen, and it has dropped 145 pips. And I was showing you for multiple reasons why I wanted to short at 111.90, and it actually came up to 111.94 and promptly bounced away. But multiple reasons why that was the setup for last week. New Zealand dollar yen is also trying to break its channel. It is sat on the 55 and the 200, and therefore I would leave this for now. There are better opportunities on the yens. If it moves higher, I really want to short up around 7700, 7750. Reason being, it wouldn't require much of a stop, and the potential reward is 7-8 times the risk. So that one I'm very interested on a pullback. If you're going to trade it on a short, you want this to break and close below, then pull back and then short. Final ones, New Zealand dollar CAD, 9200 was the area to watch last week. It's coming up to this weekly trend line now. I am still of the mind rather to short this rather than to long. To long this, I would need this to break above 9200 and the trend line, then to pull back for a long. But I don't buy into the idea of all this New Zealand dollar strength at the moment. Their economy is not in a great state. They have been struggling with the situation with China, and their trade figures recently have not been good either. So I don't believe this. So for me, not interested to long in its current situation. If it dropped back down here, anywhere around 90, I would long from there. EuroCAD bounced off 15200 yet again, which was an area I showed you in the live session a few weeks back. I think it was here when we'd taken a trade on that one. So 15200, clearly a strong area, and if you were to long, I would be looking anywhere around 15100, and intraday watch 15120. So anywhere around here I would be interested to long this pair. And then the final one is the Euro Aussie. I'm only interested trading from the edges. I would long at 15800, and I would short at 163.50 again, as we did last time back at the end of December. Okay, keep your eye on the news this week, particularly anything to do with Brexit and the pound if you're going to touch the euro, and I strongly recommend you not to touch the pound. Catch you later.